Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Buckeye Nationals, a continuation from a wet and soggy Hilliard, Ohio. We are now picking up the event in Goshen, Indiana. And Tom, let's get things started with the heavyweight superstars.
Jeff Rebel, look at the water coming out of the side of that tractor. Now, he could even get red flagged right on the starting line. It's going to be an ATPA official's call. They're going to let him go ahead and run. Now, if this was a normal clay track, he would have probably gotten red flagged right off the beginning. That clay will slide that sled. Then again, he's not dropping off all that much, but it could come back to haunt him at the end because, yeah, things are going to get hot on the inside there. We've got us a fire, Claude.
Wow, you knew he had trouble right away, Tom. And as we go to the Lucas Oil replay, you can see just about where it happened right there.
Oh, man, look at Jeff trying to get out of that road gate. We check out another Alice Chalmers now. This is Tim Mann. He's out of Dry Ridge, Kentucky. Usually runs in the lightweight category. Occasionally likes to hang the weight on that tractor and run with the big boys. Let's see what the 180 Alice Chalmers can do. And that sled is bogging down here at the clay, or lack of clay, I should say, in Goshen, Indiana. This is a sand pit, Claude.
You can tell, Tom, and by the way, our hats off to the cleaning crew. As we go back to a shot in a moment, you can see how exactly glass smooth. Right there, you can see how really smooth the track looks.
That's something that they're noted for here in Goshen, Indiana. Right now, though, Mike Robbins trying to take over the lead, and he does it. We've got a John Deere up in front, 282.63, Claude.
A little sideways down the track, Tom, but the only thing that really matters was that end number. 288 will be the mark to beat. Here comes a Ford.
Look at our only Ford in this category. It's an alcohol burning. Now, remember, in the super stock category, you can run alcohol or you can run diesel fuel. We've got a tractor running alcohol, and it is not paying off for Corey Forrester at all.
He really got bogged down back there, Tom. I think the track got him on that one. Well, here comes Charles Kemper. We've seen Charles driving the orange peel at a lot of events around the country, and always a pretty good showing.
Charles Kemper still looking for that first ever ATPA Jasper Engines Grand American win. Could tonight be the night? One thing with these alcohol tractors on this sandy soil, if they can run their high gear and really turn the tires hard, they will do good, but he has broken something. Charles Kemper will shut down way early, having problems out of the Alice Chalmers.
Tom, that brings up a point. When these drivers go to different tracks, do they have much setup to do differently?
When you're running on different tracks, it depends on the particular type of track conditions you have. On a track like this, you're going to want usually a little more weight on the back so you can lift the nose. And that's something Robert Galloway isn't doing. His nose is pretty well pinned to the ground. It's going to cost him some footage.
Most of the successful runs, Tom, you're right. That nose is straight up in the air. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Super Stocks when we come back. Back to the Lucas Oil Buckeye Nationals as part of the Jasper Engines and Transmission Pulling Series. Coming to you from Goshen, Indiana, Tom, a capacity crowd, one of the fastest growing sports in the United States and probably elsewhere.
Oh, yeah, tractor pulling is very, very popular in Europe, has been for many years. It's starting to grow in Australia. Who knows? We may even have to go there sometime, Claude. Darryl Meese is on the line now, one of the strongest alcohol tractors ever built. This tractor, look, he has the power to get off the throttle, ride the brake, keep it in bounds, and still takes it out, Claude. That tractor is awesome.
Full pull by Darryl Meese, and Tom, you were right. He was ever so close to going out of bounds as we go to the Lucas Oil replay.
Watch what he has to do. It looks like a sprint car. He has to ride that right-hand brake to keep it in bounds. He does it and still has enough power to get out.
An excellent job of driving. That's the way it should be done. Well, let's see what Jim Shandorf can do on the Radical Red.
Jim Shandorf is the defending champion at this event here, Claude. very strong 4 turbochargers on this diesel. Now we're going to see the difference between an alcohol tractor and a diesel tractor. And look at the difference. Alcohol in front, the diesel coming up short, 284.88.
A little bit short, but you could really hear those turbochargers sing.
This is an interesting tractor. This is John Hall. He's out of Waupun, Wisconsin, driving the only 4-cylinder. Everybody else is running 6 cylinders. He's running a 4-cylinder, and the Waupun Mini Mo has problems.
Problems indeed. You know, Tom, horsepower is one thing, but if you can get it to the track, then that's where the difference will be made. Well, he will be coming up. He has dropped to last. Let's go to the Lucas Oil replay and see what happened.
Claude, if a driver does not get past 100 feet, he has the option to hook again, and he is going to drop to last. So we'll see the Waupun Mini Mo at the end of the class.
You got a little glimpse there of the more than 20,000 fans on hand here at Goshen, Indiana today that came out to brave the heat, but also see some exciting action in ATPA truck and tractor pulling. Rooster Cruiser is next, and Tom, this is Kent Payne.
Kent Payne is 100% a diesel man, and he says, I'm not scared of those alky burners. I'm going after them. Tells them that right to their faces. This is nothing I'm making up at all, Claude.
I love a positive attitude. Well, that's well and good, but he only gets 258 feet out of it. It's time now for the Valco Tech Tip, where we share some of the best-kept secrets of the motorsports industry. Brought to you by Valco of Cincinnati. Now, here's Brett Kepner.
You know, so many of the metal polishes that are sold in the easy one-step format really do nothing more than eat through existing metal to give you a new metal surface with which to polish. That's why Magic Mix and Valco have come out with a brand new 2-step product that is 2 steps. Now, this particular product is an easier way to shine metal surfaces, not just wheels, but just about anything you can think of. But there are 2 different products in this little package here for 2 good reasons. After preparing the surface by just simply cleaning off the dust and dirt, the first thing you use is this Magic Mix Metal Prep and Cleaner. And what this does is eat right through the oxidation and the hard-to-get dirt in the small cracks and tough areas that will allow the original metal to be available right there on the top for you to use the next step. That's the Magic Mix Metal Polish. All you have to do after you've used the prep is put the polish down and a couple of rubs, and you've got a beautiful shiny surface. But the reason that you have a beautiful shiny surface is not because you're down to brand new metal. It's because you're cleaning the existing metal and just making the original wheel that much prettier without changing the structural integrity of the metal that you're polishing. It may have 2 different bottles in the package, but this stuff comes with 2 bottles for 2 good reasons. One helps, the other one do the job.
That Brett always likes things pretty. Hey, you like the heavyweight super stocks? Great. We'll show you some more when we come back. You think our fans are not into the sport? Oh, yeah. They appreciate when a job is done right. Speaking of a job done right, Tom, here's a guy that always seems to find a way. That's Leroy Mason.
Defending ATPA Jasper Engines points champion in the lightweight super stock and in this category, the heavyweight super stock, trying to make it 2 years in a row. Leroy is up and on a run now.
Here he goes, and it's a straight and true run, a little bit going to the side, but, well, he only pulls out 274 feet, Tom, and I think he expected a whole lot more. As we go to the Lucas Oil replay, one thing we notice immediately, wheels straight up in the air.
The wheels are straight up in the air, and that's a good sign for Leroy. That's how he likes to ride it, but he has to get on the brake, kind of what Darrell Meese did, but Leroy just doesn't have the power to compensate for the braking, and it cost him, and he's done.
A little bit unusual for Leroy as we see Kevin Grove backing up and getting all set to do business as he hooks up to the sled.
Of course, the other cable that they just dropped in was the kill switch. What that does, in case the chain was to break on the sled, it will shut the engine down. Now, if it is a diesel, it will shut the air off. There's an air flap on that motor, suffocates the motor and stops running. Now, if it is an alcohol burner running the spark plug, it just shuts the electricity off and it shuts down. And the joint's coming up short, 254 and change. Check out the wing on top of Don Holmes' road cage, Claude. Now that is a one-of-a-kind thing.
I like the ingenuity some of these drivers put into their machines.
Misery and Gin is what he calls that, named after the old Merle Haggard song from years ago. Let's see what the Illinois native can do here in Indiana, and this sand is going to shut him down quick.
I tell you, Tom, this track is really changing. These drivers are going to have to figure out, number one, how to take care of that, but number two, where to run on the track.
That's exactly right. It seems like it's pulling them over to that far side so much that when they get over in that groove, they've just got to stay on the brake, and every time you hit that brake, it costs you a lot of footage at the far end. Nick Hicks with Eileen going down the track on a very sweet run, a very popular tractor, but Nick way short on the horsepower. Comes up way short, 245.57.
And Tom, he chose the dead center of the track. Didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference right there as we get a good look at Kenneth Hale driving Night Trouble.
If Kenny is driving this tractor the way that I think Kenny will, you're going to think he's an alcohol tractor here in a second. The front end should come up, but Kenny can't get it up. Can't get enough traction in the sand, and look at it swirling around there at the end. This is a tricky track.
Tom, you know, sometimes we've heard some of the drivers use the expression, the track sucked me over to that side. Is that the difference in consistency that's all over the track?
Can definitely be the case. What happens is the track gets grooves in it, and it just pulls the guys over. And John Hall on his second attempt, remember the first time didn't get past 100 feet, tries it again. That's going to be his final measurement. Sorry about your luck, John. Check out the final results. Darrell Meese on that awesome run with the squealer alcohol John Deere takes home the win.
When we come back, those wild, screaming Supermod tractors, get your hearing protection ready. Our festivities going on tonight, garden tractor pulling. Well, if it has the name tractor in it, we'll pull it. Welcome back to Goshen, Indiana, as we get things started now with those super modified tractors. Wow, Tom, what a trip.
Now, the rules for the super modified are pretty simple. If it'll bolt onto the chassis and make the 7,500-pound weight class limit, well, pull it. Well, actually, a little more than that. You can run 4 V8 wedge-type motors with 871 blowers, or 3 hemispherical-type motors with 1471s, or 2 V12 Allisons. And speaking of the blowers, Joe Etter just lost a blower belt. Let's check it out on the Lucas Oil replay. Watch that right front motor, Claude. Just keep watching it. Joe's got a good run going. Everything's fine. A little bit further, Joe. Watch the shielding up in the front. When that belt releases, it goes through the shield, which protects it from going out into the crowd. There it goes. The blower belt lays on the ground.
Well, to lose the Hilliard event and come back to a track like this, which is notoriously loose for high horsepower machines, has got to be frustrating as heck when you're the first man out. 281 feet, you have the option, take it or dump it. What's it going to be?
Well, I'm going to have to take it. I got a blower belt off, and track conditions, I mean, we come into these places, we need to have some better tracks. I mean, this is sand. We're in the part of Indiana where there's a lot of sand, so, I mean, you know, it's just we got to take what we can get and go from there.
But you've always done well on this particular track.
Yeah, you know, more horsepower doesn't help on poor tracks.
That's right, brand new tractor this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's a little bit unfortunate, Tom. The lucky thing, I guess, you notice from the replay, the blower belt did not go until the very end of the run.
Probably didn't cost him a whole lot of footage because just what you said, Claude, it happened at the end of the run. That's what he's going to pray for. Here comes Tom Morsey. Tom put on a wild run, and speaking of a blower belt, Morsey just lost one. This track is eating the parts, Claude.
This track is so demanding because it weights the tractors down so much, 216 feet.
And check it out there on the right, the end of the run. He had fuel going everywhere. There goes the blower belt. See if we can see what some of that raw fuel's going out. Maybe we could even get Brett Kepner over to talk to Tom and see what in the world happened.
Now, Linda, believe it or not, is going to hold her finger over that leaking fuel while we talk real quick to Tom. Now, the supercharger drive belt came off. I presume it also ripped the fuel line is what it did.
Oh, okay. It's more than likely the one cylinder, I'd say I broke a rocker arm, because the one cylinder, as I was going down the track, it started blowing out white smoke. It'll be number one on this side. When it does, it'll pre-detonate. It'll shear the belt. The belt come off and got the hose. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, he watched all that happen in 10 seconds.
Well, Tom, after 2 pulls, we've had carnage already. Let's see what happens to Wayne Creech and his dirt dancer.
Wayne Creech and Joe Eder are in a tightly locked-in points race. Joe has got the lead in the points, but do not count Wayne Creech out. Wayne is right on his heels. The dirt dancer has probably won this event more than anyone else up in this part of Indiana, and Wayne is having problems. I think he's got a motor that went down.
It sounded like it at the end there, Tom. Only 216 feet. Well, one way to find out. Let's go to the Lucas Oil replay.
It wasn't one of the first 2 motors. The butterflies are open. They're functioning. But look at the right motor. It is leaning out, burning a lot of fuel. Lord, we got trouble. Let's get Brett Kepner down to talk to Wayne and see what's going on.
In exactly the same way that first pole was so incredibly important for Joe Eder, this one was just as important for you. Only you know what went wrong.
I can't see up there, but the front motor on the left side went dead. I don't know if the blower belt, something happened there where I didn't see it come off. I don't know if the pulley gave in or the mag went dead, but the left front motor went completely dead. I could see fuel out of all 8 pipes. And that's part of pulling. You check it as close as you can before you start, and then down the track things can happen, and we're getting to that point of the season where sometimes things catch up to you.
But so many people only see your face after a disastrous pull and don't realize that this is a season-long points war. It's literally on your mind every day of the week. You drove here X hundred of miles to get here, sat here all day, checked the thing a million times, and then this happens.
Oh, yeah, you know, you go over and over everything on the tractor. You look at all your belts and make sure they look good. You check fittings, you check throttle, you check everything, you know, and you think, boy, nothing can go wrong, but now and then something will, you know, it'll just show up.
You know, Tom, Brett brings up an interesting point. As we get further and further into the season, parts begin to show the wear.
Oh, definitely. Remember, this has been one of the hottest summers in many, many years. If these guys are running in 100-degree heat and humidity, it has its toll on these engines as well. We watch James Martell with the Boss Hog.
And Tom, the Boss Hog has come to the end of his rope right there, 223. Let's go down to Don Gillespie.
This roll cage device serves many purposes to protect the driver. First, you might think, well, it offers rollover protection. That's correct. As in drag racing and Indy cars, those errant machines might find that this roll cage comes in quite handy. There's some other things that it does. Consider the tire speed of this vehicle goes about 160 miles an hour. Should one of these large tires blow, the protection offered will greatly enhance the safety of the driver. And there's one other very important reason, and perhaps the most important reason why this was developed. That's in case you have a runaway sled. A runaway sled means the sled cannot stop itself. Perhaps the brakes go out or the weight box becomes loose, and it causes a very chaotic situation. This protects the driver to keep the sled from coming into the back of the tractor. You also have the tire protection, and you also have the ability to keep this 5-point harness as part of the integral parts of it too. This is built right into the bracing of it. So again, this is a very, very smart safety device which is mandated for the vehicles this year, and it's a smart one indeed. One simple question, what do you think of the roll cages?
Well, the roll cages have some inconvenience to them in that they're difficult to get into, and they do hold down your vision and make it difficult to get turned back to the sleds, and those are some of the things we're trying to find ways to overcome.
I guess with anything else comes some additional safety that is incorporated in this roll cage. You can now utilize a 5-point harness?
Yeah, that's correct. It's kind of different to us. We used to have a lap belt, and with the roll cage now, it incorporates a 5-point harness in there. It keeps us a little more secure in the cage in case we get out of control or flip upside down or whatever.
Let's certainly hope we don't have a runaway sled, but if we do, the safety cage will indeed protect the driver.
Stay with us. We'll have more of those wild super mods when we come back. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil Buckeye Nationals. Noon over Goshen. Well, sounds okay to me. This is part of the Jasper Engines and Transmission Pulling Series. Glad you have joined us. This program brought to you by Jasper Engines and Transmissions. the nation's leader in remanufactured engines and transmissions, and by Lucas Oil Products, #1 in the trucking industry, and by Liberty Herbicide, freedom from crop injury and weeds. And you have joined us for more of those wild, screaming, extremely loud super modifieds. Have a closer look.
Most of the super modifieds are running 4 motors. Wayne Kreider, on the other hand, is still running 3, but these are 3 highly modified cast iron Chevrolets, and Wayne is on his way on a killer run. He is looking good. He's got to be 281, and he is going to come up short, 257 and change.
As we go to the Lucas Oil replay, we can see he has a pretty good run going, but Tom, he has drifted left.
Check out those front tires. Now, those are actually tires that were designed in the aviation industry. They found that they worked pretty good in the sport of truck and tractor pulling, and Wayne will slow to a stop there. Not going to take over the lead by Joe Etter.
Tom, you mentioned Wayne chooses to run 3 versus 4 engines. If you add that 4th one, you have a lot more weight, but you have more horsepower. Advantage or disadvantage?
Well, it's going to vary from track to track what it comes down to, but let you into the little secret. Rumor has it that next year Wayne Kreider's going to have 4 Chevrolets on that tractor, so I guess that may answer the question.
That answers the question.
Checking out 4 engines here. This is Bob Jostock, who sometimes runs in the unlimited category and runs 5 motors. The Wild Child, look at that blower belt fuel going out of the track. The head ATPA official says, cut the motor off. We do not want any sparks or anything going off there. Bob Jostock, man, talk about this track killing them, Claude.
This track is, well, the final score, Tom, the track has claimed 3 belts. I don't know what to tell you there. But you can see as we get toward the end, coming up, right here, the belt is going to go.
It looked like the front motor, a lot of fuel coming out of that. I would think that would be the motor with the problems, but it's going to be right here on this side. And you can see the belt going off, the fuel going out one more time on the Lucas Oil replay. Yep, goes the belt, busts the fuel line, out comes the fuel, and Bob shuts her down.
Boy, Tom, when it flew it in a hurry.
Here comes Ed Stahl now, the triple trouble, running 3 Dodge motors. Their first look at a Dodge powered machine out here tonight. And in fact, he won an event earlier this year, his first ever Grand American event at Arcola, Indiana. The triple trouble might be the way to go on this, and Ed, though, is going to come up short.
247 feet, and he is very much short. The mark to beat, of course, 281. Let's check in now with Brett Kepner. Brett is with Ed Stahl.
Now, the best senses you have as a driver are probably eyes and ears, but the ears sometimes are more important in this sport, and that thing sounded like it was doing about 5 different things on that run.
Oh, it was. A lot of RPMs, and I was trying to back out of it a little bit, and there was nothing there for me to get a hold of.
It's truly a sand track out there.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst sand tracks you ever get on.
Not far away, Scott Tedder is from Hartford City, Indiana, and this is Mr. Question.
Another look at a triple motor, but on a track that doesn't take as much horsepower, he could be at his advantage. Like you were saying earlier, he's going to have more movable weight, but doesn't help him here, and he's done.
Brett Kepner is with Joe Etter.
Well, gentlemen, after that first pull that seemed somewhat disappointing at the time and then later disastrous, even Joe Etter probably didn't think that you'd be standing here watching the Bergman family's rambunctious make the last pull with you still in the lead.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. I mean, as hard as that track was and as soft as the sand was, I didn't think I went anywhere, but must be I had enough steam there to pull her through. So.
But you can't stop biting your nails yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially Allison's on this stuff. They'll lay down and get a hold.
Well, Tom, I guess we'll take a look now and see if Mr. Rambunctious, driven by Dwayne Bergman, has a shot at it.
Let's listen to the unique sound of this motor for a second, Claude. 2 V12 turbocharged Allison aircraft engine, and not gonna do it. 260.92. Joe Etter wins it.
Good enough.
That'll work. We'll take her any way we can get her.
Now, for an emotional roller coaster, you can't really beat tonight, I don't think.
Yeah, we'll definitely take it. I mean, we had our ups and downs and stuff, and, you know, we definitely coming in here tied up in the points. I guess we're about 7-8 ahead right now. And, you know, we got to go out and make some good runs and keep Serrano Cheese, you know, happy and all them guys. But, you know, it's just, it's racing.
Yeah, and sometimes you win on skill, and sometimes you win on skill and don't even know it.
That's right.
Tom, as we take a quick look at tonight's results in super modified tractors, Joe Enter, of course, in number 1, followed closely by Bob Joe Stock and Dwayne Bergman. The Pro Stock tractors found Larry Shope. What an impressive pull at 306 feet. Steve Boyd not too far behind. And as we move on to the heavyweights, we will see nothing beats a full pull. Darrell Meese, Mike Robbins, also pretty close at 288 feet. Well, Tom, that's tonight's activity. How do the overall points stack up?
The points are getting close, as Joe Eder pointed out in the super modified class. He has put up a lead over Wayne Creech, but doesn't mean he's going to keep it. In the heavyweight super stock, Night Trouble on his way to his second ATPA Jasper Championship. The Pro Stock, you see all green John Deere's, the River Rat in the lead, but one international, and it's one bad apple.
And that puts a wrap on tonight's program. For Tom McConnell, Brett Kepner, and Don Gillespie, Claude Wood, thanks for joining us.